Some people say the night shift is the easiest job in the world. They couldn't be more wrong, because after midnight the rules seem to change. Empty hallways don't stay empty. Security cameras capture things they shouldn't, and sometimes the person you think you're talking to isn't there at all. Tonight, you'll hear 3 true night shift horror stories that actually happened. Every one of these stories was shared by someone who went to work expecting a normal shift and left with an experience they'll never forget. Lock your doors, turn off the lights, and let's begin. Story 1, the last security check. The first story comes from a security guard who worked the overnight shift at an old corporate office building just outside Chicago. His job was simple. Every hour he had to patrol all 6 floors, make sure every door was locked, and monitor the security cameras until sunrise. For almost 2 years, nothing unusual had ever happened. The building was always empty after 8 p.m., and the only sounds he ever heard were the humming of the air conditioning and the occasional creak of old pipes. Then one rainy Tuesday night, everything changed. It was exactly 2:32 a.m. when he finished checking the 5th floor. As he stepped into the stairwell, he heard slow, heavy, deliberate footsteps coming from the floor above him. That didn't make any sense. The 6th floor had been closed for renovations for nearly 6 months. No employees were allowed up there. Thinking another security guard might be checking the area, he called over his radio. "Mike, are you on the 6th floor?" Only static answered. He tried again. Nothing. The footsteps continued. 1, 2, 3. Almost as if someone was walking in circles directly above him. Taking a deep breath, he switched on his flashlight and slowly climbed the stairs. The moment he reached the 6th floor landing, the footsteps stopped. The hallway was completely silent. He searched every office, every conference room, every storage closet, and even the maintenance area. Every door was locked. Every room was empty. Feeling embarrassed for frightening himself, he returned to the security office. As soon as he sat down, he glanced at the CCTV monitors. His heart nearly stopped. On camera 16, someone was standing in the exact hallway he had just searched. A tall figure dressed entirely in black. It wasn't moving. It wasn't looking around. It was staring directly into the camera. He immediately grabbed his radio and sprinted back upstairs. The elevator couldn't arrive fast enough. When the doors opened, the hallway was empty. Not a single person. No footsteps. No open doors. Nothing. He carefully searched the entire floor again. Still nothing. Confused, he returned to the security office and replayed the camera footage. The figure had appeared for exactly 12 seconds. It never walked into frame. It never walked out. One moment the hallway was empty. The next the figure was there. Then, it simply disappeared. There wasn't a single video glitch. No signs of editing. No technical malfunction. The next morning he showed the footage to the building manager. Instead of looking shocked, the manager quietly locked his office door and asked, "Was it camera 16? The guard nodded. The manager let out a long sigh. "You've seen it too." He explained that over the last 10 years, several night guards had reported seeing the exact same figure. Every sighting happened between 2 and 3 a.m. Every report involved camera 16, and every guard who claimed to see it resigned within days. The manager even admitted something he had never told anyone. Years earlier, a maintenance worker had fallen down the unfinished elevator shaft on the 6th floor during a night shift. He died before anyone found him. According to the accident report, his body wasn't discovered until the next morning because everyone assumed the strange noises they heard during the night were just construction work. The security guard never believed in ghosts until that night. He finished his shift, turned in his badge the following morning, and despite receiving higher-paying security job offers afterward, he never worked another night shift again. This story matches the tone and pacing of stories 2 and 3, making all 3 feel like they're part of the same high-quality horror. Narration, Story 2, The Patient in Room 307. The second story was shared by a night shift nurse who worked at a small hospital in rural Pennsylvania. Unlike the daytime staff, the night shift was usually quiet. Most patients were asleep, the hallways were empty, and the only sounds were the steady beeping of heart monitors and the occasional squeak of a medication cart rolling across the polished floor. She had worked there for nearly 4 years. Nothing had ever scared her, until one shift she could never explain. It was a little after 3 a.m., the quietest part of the night. She was updating patient charts at the nurse's station when a call light suddenly appeared on the monitor. room 307. Without thinking much of it, she grabbed a clipboard and walked toward the room. The hallway felt unusually cold. As she reached the door, she noticed something strange. The room was completely dark. She gently knocked. "Good evening." You pressed the call button. No answer. She stepped inside. The bed was empty. The bathroom door was open. No one was there. Confused, she looked up at the call light panel above the bed. It wasn't even connected. The wiring had been removed months earlier during renovations. A chill ran down her spine. Certain she'd made a mistake, she hurried back to the nurse's station. She asked another nurse why room 307 had appeared on the monitor. The other nurse frowned. It didn't. Together, they checked the computer log. There were no active calls, no record of room 307 requesting assistance. Thinking it was just a system glitch, they laughed it off and returned to work. About 30 minutes later, the hospital phone rang. The caller ID simply read, Story 3, The Voice on the Radio. The final story comes from a truck driver who spent nearly 15 years working overnight, deliveries across the Midwest. Driving alone after midnight never bothered him. He actually preferred it. The highways were empty, traffic was light, and the silence made the long hours easier to handle. But one shift changed the way he looked at the road forever. It was around 2:45 a.m. on a cold November night. He was driving through a remote stretch of highway with nothing around him except dense woods and miles of darkness. There were no gas stations, no houses, no other cars, just endless black road disappearing into the night. As he drove, the CB radio suddenly crackled to life. A man's voice calmly said, "Driver, don't stop your truck." He looked around, expecting another truck nearby. There wasn't one. He picked up the microphone. "Who's this?" No answer, just static. A few minutes later, the same voice came back. This time it sounded more urgent. "Whatever you do, don't stop. They're watching." A cold chill spread through his body. He checked every mirror. The road behind him was completely empty. Trying to ignore it, he kept driving. Then he noticed something strange. About half a mile ahead, a woman stood on the shoulder of the highway. She was wearing a long white dress. Her head was lowered. She wasn't moving. She looked like someone desperately needed help. His first instinct was to pull over, but then he remembered the warning, "Don't stop your truck." As he got closer, the woman slowly raised her head. She wasn't waving. She wasn't crying. She was smiling. A wide, unnatural smile. Without slowing down, he drove past her. The moment she disappeared in his side mirror, his CB radio exploded with static. The same voice whispered, "Good. Keep driving." His heart was pounding. About 20 minutes later, he reached the next truck stop. Still shaken, he told another driver what had happened. The older driver went completely silent. Then he asked, "Was she wearing white?" The truck driver nodded. The man sighed. "I've been driving this route for over 20 years. You're not the first person to see her." He explained that for decades, drivers had reported seeing a woman standing along that exact stretch of highway. Some stopped to help. Some were never heard from again. Police investigated. Dozens of missing person reports over the years, but never found a connection. There was never any evidence. Only stories. Before leaving, the older driver gave him one final piece of advice. "If that radio ever warns you again, listen." To this day, the truck driver still works the night shift. He still drives that highway. But every time his CB radio crackles after midnight, he turns the volume down, and he never, ever looks toward the side of the road. Which of these three stories disturbed you the most? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed these true horror stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more terrifying stories every week. And remember, some night shifts don't end when the sun comes up.